Good morning and good afternoon, also good evening, right? So it's been a little while. I think it's been a week that I've not talked to you because I wasn't here on Wednesday. And wasn't why wasn't I here? I think I was at a conference, a very busy and interesting conference. And that's what I want to talk to you about today, right? Because I'm sure you heard about the energy transition. Have you actually wondering, have you been asking yourself, so what do people think about the energy transition? So what do, for example, African leaders think about the energy transition? Do you think that they are in favor of it, not in favor of it? What is their opinion? That's exactly what I want to discuss today, because when I went to the conference, I've been able to talk to a number of them because we had more than 35 countries represented out of the more than 350 participants that were there. And we have a number of ministers, ambassadors, and dignitaries. Yes. So, and it was quite interesting, right? Just to see them sort of laying out clearly what their position is. And this is what I like to discuss. And I would like you to stay tuned because we're going to unpack it, right? So stay tuned. Hello again. This is Tony here from Renewable in Africa, your global clean energy champion. What is that we do in this channel? Very simple. We want to make sure that we demystify the renewable energy sector for you. So every day we make it similar for you to understand how to plug into it, right? So how to make it work for you. For example, if you tell me that you are an investor and you have some money and you want to plug into the sector, but you don't know how to do it, when you come into this channel, I'm sure you're going to find the insight that you need in order for you to be able to go further. And if it's not the case, always feel free to reach out to me. We can work out what could be good for you. So if you say, for example, your business, and again, you want to find out more about renewable energy, you want to see how it applies to your company, absolutely, in here as well, you find a way to connect and you find a way to find the information that you are looking for. So we definitely want you to connect, right? And to reach out to us and tell us what you think. Last but not the least, for example, if you are uh, a professional, you say you want to jump into the sector, you're from another part of the industry, you're from a different industry, but you don't have the information that you need to move into the sector, I will give you the information that you need. And in fact, if you're looking at all the video that we've done, you will see there already some video that will be very useful for you, right? Excellent. Now, and by the way, if you like what I'm saying, just make sure that you leave a comment. We always love it. We always appreciate it. I know one of you actually sent me a message already before, so I've received it. Thank you very much for that. And I can see that I'm having as well a message from Ramia. Say, hey, Ramia, how are you? Great to see you. So we're gonna be taking questions right after I've made my expose, right? But but feel free to drop a question. Feel free to tell us what you think. Feel free to share this video and feel free to like it as well. Because in here we are connecting from 5 channels. Yes, 5 channels. So we have LinkedIn, we have Facebook, we have YouTube, we have Twitter, and we have now Instagram, right? So we have 5 channels. So you definitely have more than one platform you can connect with us. Just make sure that you connect with Renewables in Africa on all those platforms. This way, you know that you can't miss a video. And for example, if you're on YouTube, just click on the bell notification. You definitely will not miss it, right? Excellent. Now, let's move into the topic of today, right? So, what do African leaders think about the energy transition? And why is it important to know? It's important because most of the time, obviously, when we're hearing about these concepts, right, of energy transition, just transitions, so we tend to hear it from the, how can I say that, from the angle of, let's say, the Western world, right? And if you're not careful, you may sometimes think that that's what actually it's. This is the consensus from everybody. So, which is far from being the case, right? So it's important to have a proper understanding of what do everybody think to get yourself to get like a much better idea of what's going on and see how you can potentially position yourself, right? And even for a guy like me, it was actually very refreshing to go in such a conference. And that's the reason sometimes you want to go into a conference, you want to engage with people because you can see what really people think. and you can interact with them, and you can exchange, bounce idea, and confront as well your own opinion, right? So don't just sit, I would say, in your on your island and think that, hey, I know everything. This is the way to go, and that's what things are going to roll out. That's clearly not the case, right? So engaging is the right thing to do. So as I was telling you, so I attended an excellent conference, I have to say. I have definitely to commend the Africa Verein, because they put together in 2 days very interesting conferences where we had more than 35 countries, African countries represented. That's impressive, right? And also they have a number of ministers that were there, right? We definitely had Nigeria represented. We had Libya represented. We have Ethiopia represented. We have Morocco represented. We have Senegal represented. So we have many countries, right? I can't mention all of them, but we definitely have many countries. And also there was a number of ambassadors that were there, right? And also other dignitaries, people, top executive, top managers from obviously top companies. So that's why, like I say, when I came out of this conference, so I really had the impression that, okay, I think now I have a much better idea what the continent could be thinking about, right? Because that was a sample. Obviously, that's not the whole continent, because the whole of Africa, that's 54 countries, right? But with 35 countries there, talking to different people, like I say, we're talking about the high level and high profile individuals, but also the simple attendees. So you get a sense, right? So where things are going. And that's what I want to impact for you today. By the way, if you want to drop a comment and if you want to tell me what you think, it's their opinion, definitely drop a message and I'd be more than happy to look at that. Oh, by the way, as well, feel free to send me a question, because I love have your questions and I like to address it, right? So that's fine. I know Ramia already sent me a comment. I appreciate that, Ramia. And I know as well that I've seen a message from, I think, Francois, who was, I think, making just more a comment than a question, right? But yeah, feel free to drop it live and I make sure that I will respond to it. Now, let's go back to that. So what does that African leader think? What do you think they think? Yeah. I want to roll it out into 3 points, right? I'm sure there are many things that could be said, but I just like to summarize it in 3 points. So at least I can give you the most important as far as I'm concerned. And you tell me what you think, right? So so I've been talking to them, right? So and I've been, because actually what happened on that day on that conference, so I moderated 3 sessions, but I attended many other sessions, right? And as I say, the conference was actually well put together. There was very, very interesting topics. I would definitely advise next year when they release something similar. So if you are interested and you're hesitant, hey, please don't be hesitant anymore, because I'm telling you that's a very good one, and definitely you will not regret it. I can see somebody is sending me a message from Doha. Hello from Doha, but I can't see your name. Just a LinkedIn user. Hello from Doha. Great to see you. So let's come back now to the conversation. So there are 3 things that I can say, definitely the African leader sort of thinking. So that's sort of gathering all of that. So the first thing, clearly, it's even with the notion of energy transition, right? So from the kind of consensus, most of the African leaders that I've seen there and I've heard, right? So they clearly want people to know that, in Africa, the situation it's clearly different than the rest of the world. And I've referred to that even before. Why is it different than the rest of the world? Because, or at least most of let's the Western world, put it that way. Let's be more specific. In the Western world, you already have energy access to everybody, right? So you have 100% electricity access rate, right? So now, and the question is now is about transitioning, right? Moving from fossil fuel to cleaner fuel, to renewables, or any cleaner fuel, so that okay we can reduce the level of emissions. In the case of Africa, we're not just there yet. We definitely don't not there yet, and I agree with them on that point. Because we still have, I think last time I checked, I think if we look at the figures from 2019, 2020, more or less, from coming from IEA, so we have about 52, between 52 and 54% electricity rate, right? That's why in Africa. So that means we have between 48
46% of people that still don't have access to electricity. And that's the 600 million that you keep on hearing, right? And the funny thing is actually is the electricity rate will slowly but surely increase. Not fast enough, definitely. I agree with you. Not fast enough, but increase. But funny enough, the number of people that always out of electricity is about the same. For the simple reason that the population growth is outpacing the electrification rate. Yeah, growth. That's what's happening. That's why you see those 600 millions actually seem not to be moving. In fact, it's slightly less than 600 million that we have to say. It's about 570 million. So last time I checked that, and I believe in one of the video I've shown that already. So if you don't know what video I'm talking about, definitely make sure that you watch all that video so you see all of those information. So that's the first thing that they clearly want to say. So clearly in Africa, we're still talking about energy access. We still need to provide access to people, right? So talking about energy transitions and forgetting energy access, clearly it's not a conversation that will resonate with them, right? And that no conversation that will resonate with people because you say, and somebody said, I mentioned something that was quite interesting. That was yeah, it was a very good comment. They say transitioning from where to where. We already have nothing, so where are we then gonna go? So that's the thing that absolutely almost all of them wanted to say, because at the exception of North Africa, where we have full electricity access to everybody, right? So we it's ranging between, I would say, 98% and 100%. All the North Africa countries, most of them. So the rest of sub-Saharan Africa, clearly we're not there yet, right? I know countries like Kenya or Ghana have made significant progress, and I'm sure it's just a matter of year before they can actually completely close the gap. In fact, they may be able potentially to reach that full energy access by 2030, right? But the large majority of people don't have it. And as we're talking about that, it's about having access as well to cheap electricity so that people can pay. So that's the first thing that leaders definitely wanted to say. So just to say, hold on, don't just go to energy transition just yet. We still need to have access to energy first of all before we can actually transition. It doesn't mean that we can't do the two together. And I believe, and I would advise, and I've said that in previous videos before, it doesn't mean that the two can't be done together, but we should not be forgetting that, why we're looking at energy transition in most part of the world. In Africa, let's say the dominant equation, the dominant point is still around energy access. That's the first thing to understand clearly. So if you don't understand it, then you're missing a little bit of both in the continent. So that's the first thing that obviously leader wanted to say. So I don't know what at this point means to you. Just drop in the comments. Let me know whether you agree with that or you don't agree with that, and let me know what you think about it. Right. So, and that'd be good to understand. So now let's come on to the second point that they mentioned. So the second point. So it's kind of related to this to the first one, because I said I'm just gonna summarize it in 3 points, right? Because I'm sure you would understand that there were many other things that were discussed, but the those are the three that I'm summarizing for you. The second point is to say that I can see more people are commenting. Great guys, I love it. Thank you. Keep on adding comment, and definitely going to make sure that I go through that and I respond to each of you, right? So the second point related to the two, to the first, saying that if we saying that energy access is still the dominant priority for the continent, right? They also were saying, those leaders, by the way, that's not me saying, those are the leaders. I'm just, because I know you have not attended the conference, or some of you most of you will not have attended the conference. And I'm telling you, in that conference, we have a great representation of what African leadership is, right? And from there, you can get a sense as to where things are. And I can actually absolutely even tell you that I wouldn't be surprised to see that the position that I'm actually sharing with you today, it's actually what the African continent may be pushing forward for COP27, right? So sort of in advance, I'm giving it to you, right? And make sure that when we go to COP27, you can come back to this video and you remember that I told you that. Okay, just joking. So the second point, which is related to the first, is that why energy access is the priority. They are ready to do anything, use any source necessary to make sure that they can reach this target. Yes, they were very adamant into that, right? So especially making sure that they can tap into their actually existing resources or newfound resources, especially gas resources, right? The number of time I've heard a number of them talking about natural gas, LNG. So wanted to tap into that. It's impressive, right? And they were, in a sense, complaining about the quote unquote the hypocrisy of, let's say, the Western world. And by the way, they're not the one saying that, because I'm sure if you know that, you probably know that as well, that the Mo Ibrahim Foundation have released a report on climate change where obviously Ibrahim as well is criticizing, I would say, the West for obviously refusing to finance more gas project overseas. Why obviously they keep on doing it, in their on their land, right? But anyway, those leaders basically adamantly so were actually saying that because this is their priority to give energy access to their citizen, they're ready to take any measure that would take them there. They will tap into any sources that would take them there. Having said that, though, I still noted though that there was a little nuance though. So I've not heard a lot of them talking about using coal, for example, which we know is the dirtiest. But clearly they were talking about using LNG, right? I know, for example, Senegal recently discovered LNG. They want to tap into that. Mozambique have energy. They want to tap into that. So Nigeria has energy. They want to tap into that. All the different want to tap into that, right? Both for internal use, but also export markets. So that's the one thing that they want to do. So that second point. So it didn't come as a surprise to me, I have to say, not because I've heard that before. Um, but I was still quite impressed. I wouldn't say impressed. I was still quite, I would say, it was an interesting thing to see how much almost all of them was coming from talking from one voice saying about the same thing regarding this. So African leaders definitely want to keep on pushing gas. This is the reality. Now, the key question for me that would be interesting then to see is whether they would then be able to raise the financing that is needed to fund it. Because if the G7 is saying that they will stop funding fossil fuel by the end of the year, like what they've said, I think a few days ago, it'd be interesting to see. But it's also good to remember that it's not just G7 that can fund the project, right? So you have multiple other sources, right? So I don't know. I would say Asia, South America, yeah, they're multiple, so even private sector, right? So how are they going to fund it? That's an interesting question that we would like to see. At the same time, as well, it's fair to say that the European Union, for example, has recognized as well that gas is a transitional fuel, right? And in that say, it's important now to see in the coming weeks and months what kind of I would say what kind of arrangement will be made so that investment into gas is still possible. So we like to see, and it's quite interesting also to see that because so the president of Senegal, Macky Sall, is the current chairperson of African Union, and I know that he has been invited to attend the G7 summit by the end of this month, which is going to happen in Germany because Germany has created an international climate club, right? It's a new club that they're creating and from what I've heard and seen, they seem to be inviting the African Union to sit at the table and then to engage in conversation. So what's going to come out of those conversations, no idea. So we're just going to see because, like I say, the summit has yet to happen, and it will be by the end of this this month, and we'll be able to see what President Macky Sall is able to get. But like I say, clearly, I understand. I know that they will be pushing for, making sure they keep on using gas. Yeah. So for the short term, that's what I say. My key question though, especially as a renewable guy. So by the way, I'm not against gas, right? I definitely understand that gas is needed. Hey, let's be practical. No problem. I've always said that we need to have tough conversation. So we need to sit at the table. That's the only way we're gonna solve the real problem for the continent. Sit at the table, ask difficult questions, and see how we make things around. So if you just sit in one corner, let's say renewables in one corner, gas in one corner, other fossil fuel other corner. So we're just gonna keep on fighting one another, and nothing gonna really properly move forward, right? I definitely think we let's sit on the table, let's ask some tough question, and let's see what could be done, right? So for me, better. It's better than nothing. I don't know if it makes sense, but yeah. So clearly, so I'm keen to hear that. So they clearly will be pushing for gas use, and like I said, keep on using as well some fossil fuel. Now, what is the companies that's going to reach with the rich nation? I don't know, right? But clearly, that was another a second strong message, after the first one, where they say that energy access is still clearly mainly the priority. The second one is they still want to use at least gas, definitely as a transitional fuel on the short term, to be able to reach their first objective, which is energy access to everybody, affordable, and also sustainable, and provided to everybody. That's the second point. What does that mean to you? So, what do you have to say regarding this? Do you agree? Do you not agree? So, are you from the fossil fuel industry? Are you from the gas sector? Are you happy about that? Not happy about that? Are you in the renewables? What do you think about that? Because these are your leaders. I'm telling you, these are your leaders, and that's what they're going to be pushing. Because when they go to COP27, they're speaking on your behalf. So, what do you think about that? Are you happy with it? Do you want to change it? That's why we have the conversation today. I want to hear your opinion, right? So that'd be good to get. So just in time now for me to move into the third point, right? And the third point that's also very interesting. It's on hydrogen. Yeah, hydrogen. Hydrogen. I can tell you that there is a lot of conversation going on for hydrogen actually, and in different African countries. I'm sure you know that this is something that's already moving. Is a trend that is already on the move in the rest of the world. But clearly, Africa seems to be very interested by it. Why? Because with the resources that the continent has, they see that as a possibility for them to be able to produce green hydrogen. Hydrogen that is produced from from renewables energy, right? So that's what make it green. So, and especially for export market, not so much for internal market yet, but more for export market. And this is another, good strong point that I've heard. There was a number of sessions regarding hydrogen in the over there, but like I said, there's many people that seem to be interested, enthusiastic about that. Probably as well because they could see that so countries that have the resources. I know, for example, there are countries that are slightly ahead of the game in terms of hydrogen. We're talking about the Namibia. We're talking about Morocco. That's a couple of those countries. So South Africa, yeah, potentially. But like I said, there's a lot of countries, yeah, and there's even, I believe, about to form a sort of an alliance for African potential producer. But let's see whether that materializes. But that's a strong point that they definitely wanted to push, right? So don't be surprised either if you keep on hearing about this other topic as we moving forward. Like I say, I'm giving it to you so you understand now what the African leader thinks. Because like I say, whether you like it or not, these are people that represent you. So especially if you're in the African continent, right? They represent you, and that's what they're going to be talking on your behalf. If you're happy, if you agree with that, then that's great, right? So they can just go ahead and move forward. So if you're not happy with that, you may want to find a way to get yourself heard, your voice heard, yeah. So this is a reason why I'm bringing this kind of conversation in this platform so that you know what's happening, right? Because when I go into those conferences, so I'm fortunate to meet these kind of guys, and I can tell you what is that they think, what is that they have in mind, and what is that they're going to be sharing as the message for the continent going to COP27. So after that, don't be surprised at all, right? So this is what it is. So yes, that's the third point. Same thing. What is your opinion regarding this third point? I talk about energy access as a number one priority. Yeah, beyond above energy transition. They're not against energy transition, but they still want to look at energy transition as a priority. The second thing, they are ready to use whatever sources of power, you know, they have at their disposal to reach that level of energy access. That means definitely gas and potentially still oil and coal. That's the question. So my challenge though is, where are they going to find the money for that? I don't know. I know there was a lot of willingness for leaders to convey them and say, we're gonna do it, that's fine. Where are you gonna find the money? I don't know. So because I most likely the Western world will be reluctant to fund it. Yeah, and as you can see, it's becoming more and more difficult for this project to find an investor. So are they going to turn towards Asia? I don't know, or maybe other part of the world private sector. I don't know, but that's interesting to see as a dynamic. Yeah. Second point. The third point, like I said, hydrogen. This is definitely product that they're going to be pushing for export market, potential as well for the internal market. But so don't be surprised if you see that. So it means as well, the reason I'm sharing that with you guys, for you to understand how it's important for you. Like I said, so if you're looking, for example, to get into the sector, right? So those are areas where you may want to position yourself so that if you have the right skill, then you can become interesting for a company that's, for example, operating hydrogen, and knowing that you have a good you have a good knowledge on that. Same thing. If you're an investor, you're looking to invest into big scale project. I'm telling you, there's going to be most likely in the future years some large utility scale projects, right? So, but that will support a wind farm, but as opposed to go to the local market, to the local utility, where we know that many multiple utilities, unfortunately, of Africa, unfortunately, are not in great shape financially, is going to be turned towards the export market. It could be interesting for you, meaning that shipping it or selling it to Europe, to Americas, right? So that could be interesting for you. So let me, as an investor, you may want to pay close attention to that. You may want to be looking at who is the developer at the moment who is actually looking at doing something in hydrogen, and position yourself right now, right? Because the competition gets tougher. Because I'm telling you, this is the other thing. I also have to tell you that, right? So you probably don't know that, but did you know that, over the last decade, especially 2010, 2016, we had more than 320 embassies, new embassies that were opening to Africa. It shows you how attractive the continent has been. So that means the traditional investor, people that had colonial link with the continent, are not the only one anymore. There's a fight now. Yeah, clear. Everybody will want to take a piece of the continent, right? So it means that if you're an investor, you may want to position yourself early. So that's why when I'm sharing those nuggets like that, I'm hoping that you're paying attention, right? And you know where to go next. So obviously, feel free to reach out to me if you want to go more in depth for that, so we can look at what kind of a service we can do for you that can help you go further. So okay, the yes, and yeah, so do that the 3 point that I mentioned to you. So this is what the leaders and the continent are talking about. So what do you think about that? What is your opinion? I can see there's been a lot of reaction, and I love it, love it, love it. So I'm just gonna stop it at this point, and then go back and look at the those questions, and we can take it one by one. So if that's okay with you, is that correct? By the way, thank you for still watching us. Right, it's great to be able to talk to so many people. And then yeah, without further ado, let's look at what questions I've seen coming. Okay, so that's the time I'm going to the chat. I'm just looking at. Let me have a look. So you were a little bit shy at the start, but now we have a lot of questions. So we have Ramya. Ramya, I think is calling Adi. Adi, where are you? Ramia is cutting you. She's saying that Tony is giving you some very good information here. You want to be in here. And you're right, by the way, Ramia. Thank you for that. Thank you for doing that. That's what I want you guys to be doing. Commenting, calling your brothers, your sisters, your friends, whoever you want. They need to be in here. They need to listen to what we're saying here because those are good stuff. Yeah. So then I had somebody from Doha. Yeah, in Qatar. So hey, I don't know who you are, Qatari man. Thank you for watching us. I love it. Thank you. I appreciate that. So, and after that, we have Emily. Emily said, glad to hear about the striping. Yeah, Kenya is doing great. So, obviously, many things can still be improved. I know Kenya relatively well because obviously my team is in part of my team is in Kenya. So, yeah, comparatively to other countries, yeah, Kenya is doing well. Yeah, a lot more that could be done for sure. There's still way too many, power cut to my liking, but the country is doing on average better than many other countries in Africa. So let me carry on. So we have Darren. He said, I was in Burundi in October. Rural electrification is happening now. Great, excellent. That's what we want to see. Yeah. So, and by the way, at the conference, Burundi was represented. I definitely talked to a couple of gentlemen from Burundi there, and they were telling me how low the electrification rate here over there. So we're talking about something less than 5% electrification rate. So I know from information I've collected in the past that it's actually quite low in that country. So I don't know whether it's still 5%, but I know it's quite low. So let's give them the benefit of the doubt. So yeah, so rectification, excellent. Now we need to fast track it, and there's a lot of work. So if you hear that 5% electrification rate, just imagine what needs to be done, what needs to happen. I know, for example, there's the minister power and energy for Niger was here, state minister, right? So it was almost begging people to come into and say, hey, we opened because they've made a lot of reforms apparently in Niger. Yeah, so for people to go. Excellent. They carry on. So Kenya is really keen on green growth. Yeah, I agree with you. That's fine. Kenya has really a lot of uh power coming from hydro, so and also green. Yeah, Kenya is doing relatively well. So I have to say, one thing I've realized, I observed very quickly at that conference, is that there was also a slight difference between countries that were rich in fossil fuels, right, and that has those reserves, and country that had nothing. For example, Morocco. Yeah. So one of the guys from Morocco was telling us how happy it was that, how happy the country was that not to have any fossil fuel or any any fossil fuel, any gas oil in Morocco. That has forced them to develop their system into something else, and that's why they're one of the champion of renewables, right? So they care there's a different way between these two countries that are obviously fossil fuel rich and those who are not. Excellent. Let's move on. Microgrid avenue for access for renewable cost is contributed. Microgrid are part of the solution. They're not the panacea, by the way, right? Because the central grids, so mass electrification is still, for me, greatly made possible due to central grid. Yeah, so mini grid can help because there are places, especially remote places, right, where the population is very low. It wouldn't make sense to have the grid extended there because it costs a lot of money. Yeah, so in those kind of places, so a mini grid can work well, and also from time as well, some businesses, just the way they position, they're located, and also the specificities, it may not be the great thing for them. So yeah, so okay, hopefully I responded to your question, Felix. Okay, good. So let's go now for Darren. Darren said, yes, producing hydrogen from excess hydropower production. Yeah, when load and drop. Okay, excellent. By the way, Darren, you'll be happy to know that at the conference, there was a lady there, so working for Voith, which is a German company. And and she was clearly pitching as well hydrogen as a sources to provide electricity to the electrolysis. Yeah, definitely. No, hydrogen, hydropower. Sorry. Yeah, she was supposed to use hydropower to produce the electricity to the electrolysis that is needed for hydrogen. Because she also shared some insight with me, whereby I found out that if you look at the electrolysis, the electricity that is powering the electrolysis, 14% in terms of the green sources, 14% come from solar, 22% come from wind, but a good 64% come from hydro. So we shouldn't be forgetting about hydro. By the way, hydro, like I said, is the biggest energy source currently being used in the continent of Africa. So yes, absolutely. Good point, Darren. So let me just carry on. So Darren, good stuff. Excellent, Darren. Darren's on fire, man. So energy access, yes, but a demand or means of use to pay for the electricity. I'm not sure I understood the question, but a demand or means to pay for. Whoa, okay. I'm not sure I understand the question, but let me at least make some comment there. So to what I may believe you may be referring to. So energy access. So the challenge for energy access usually to reach the last mile distribution, right? So the problem is people in those areas. Not the problem, the challenge. Let's call it challenge. It's not a problem. The challenge is people in those areas. So they have very limited funds, right? So let's put it that way. They're not wealthy per se, right? So it means that uh, even when they subscribe to your offer, so as you will imagine, as all of us, they go through some challenges in life, and all of a sudden they're not in the possibility to pay for you anymore. So that's why for this kind of market, so one of the key issues that developers have to, operators have to solve, it's to be it's the default rate, right? So very important to know that. So let me just carry on. Emin is saying, will we have enough space for renewable sources since they occupy? Yeah, that's a good point. Well, listen, it depends how the design is done, right? So I don't know, for example, if you've seen those last pictures of agrivoltaic, I don't know how to pronounce it actually, where you have solar power, but obviously it's mounted, on a support which is high enough so that underneath you can still do your agriculture. So I guess it depends, right? So this is, and also what I'm saying is, yes, this is a challenge that we need to talk about. That's the kind of conversation we need to ask. Renewable is great, but it takes a lot of space. How can we maximize? How do we optimize it to make sure that we can tackle that from the right angle? And that's where you have innovation coming up to solve this kind of problem. It's a challenge I recognize with you, but don't discard it. Don't disregard it just because of that. Let's look at what could be a solution, to fix it. So yeah. Emily, you speak of PV? Yes. Okay. Yeah, I think you speak to the two of you. Okay. Let me check. Burundi is connecting to Resume GS. Okay. Thanks for that. I'm not sure I know Resume GS. Run of reader hydropower. Absolutely. Okay. Yep. I agree with you. Yep. So Darren, you're on fire, man. I like what you've been saying. Thank you for contributing so much. Yeah. So I really, really appreciate that. So excellent. I don't see any more questions. I don't know if there was any questions. So if there is, I jump into that. But I don't see any more questions. So I take it that you are clearly satisfied with what you've heard, at least for today. Yeah. And then yeah. Almost 40 minutes. I think it's time for us to stop, right? I always get carried away. So I just wanted to summarize and say that this is the main priorities that leaders on the continent having in mind. Definitely number one is energy access. This is still their priority. They don't mind doing energy transition, but first of all, let's look at energy access, and then we can move progressively to energy transition. The second point, it's to make sure that they use whatever they have at their resources at their disposal to push for energy access for everybody. That point, I'm personally a little bit cautious, right? Like I say, I know we talk about short term, but what does short term mean? Is it 1 year, 2 year, 5 year, 30 years? Let's be honest. And how can we, if we go for the short term, how can we actually codify that so that obviously the short term really stay short term. I want to just be careful about that. Yeah. And the third point I mentioned is hydrogen for export. They're very keen on that, adamant. So yeah, those are the point that this leader had to share. Let me just same thing, just as I want to go. That was a question or comment. Benedicta said that rural electrification in Tanzania is almost done in large quantities. Okay, excellent. That's great. So if progress be made there, that's what we're asking for. That's brilliant. Brilliant. So, ladies and gentlemen, I don't think any other questions that I've missed. And yeah, thanks for connecting. I appreciate that. I know your Sunday is very precious. Some of you obviously enjoying a bank holiday or public holiday because there's a yeah, I think oh, question as well. I think there's a free day today. Let me just look at the question. Felix saying informative general overview. Thank you. Okay, you're welcome, Felix. So that's what it's all about. Like I say, in here you get all the overview that you want. So we make it seamless for you to connect with renewables energy and to understand what are the ins and out, right? And like I said, we don't even shy away bringing to you some insight, for example, what African leader think, because at the moment, as you can see, it doesn't fully align what people like myself will want to see as renewable. But we need to have this kind of conversation. This is what I'm saying. We need to have this kind of conversation and then discuss about it and see where can we come up to. So Emily is saying, with different social political view, we will align. Yeah, that's the thing. We have to find a way to talk, right? So that's what we've been fighting for. And yeah, excellent. Excellent. I don't see any more questions. And if there is any question later on, I will look at the comment. I'll make sure that I respond to that, or my team will make sure to respond to that. Rest assured that we're definitely still looking after you, right? Excellent. So I think we had a great conversation today. So I definitely had fun. And I'm happy to be back with you. So Emily is saying amazing discussion, Tony. Same here. So great discussion. So it started a little bit slow, but all of a sudden, a lot of comments poured in. Yeah. So make sure that you share the video. You leave a comment just like you're doing like that. You like it, please. Very, very important. Connect with us on all the different platforms, on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, and also on Twitter, right? Just do that, please, and that'd be great. This way, you don't miss one of our information, and that'd be excellent. Is that okay? Good. So the only thing that is left for me to say, as usual, so have a wonderful, beautiful rest of the day, beautiful Sunday, and may the sun be with you guys. I see you on Wednesday. Take care.